Hey everyone, Neen here from the Hyperactive Bookworm. I finished the unicorn badge of Jay's Sapphic reading challenge. I'm so excited. Ow, puppy. She's excited too. So I'm just going to go through the 10 books I read for the unicorn challenge. Some of them are from January that I read, so let's see if I can actually remember some of them. But yeah, we'll see how we go. All right, are you right now? Okay, let's have a drink because drinks are always good. All right, so category 1 for the Unicorn Challenge is Butch Pairing. This book I actually put down as 5 Moons Rising by Liz McTagg. She just deleted everything. Hold on a moment. Silly puppy. Hang on. Why do I insist on doing this with your hair? All right, so I probably slaughtered the author's name. I'm sorry about that. So this book is, I don't know, like I enjoyed it. And then I kind of got bored. I know that's really horrible, isn't it? But, okay, so it started brilliant, like dark and intense. And I thought it was great. I felt like some of the darkness kind of ebbed a little, which, you know, you need the ebbs and flows, but I don't feel like it came back up enough, or I don't know, maybe it was just too much the romance side of it. I'm not sure, but it was still like a 3.5 star book for me. Like it was still a good read. And I really did enjoy the world building. I just got a bit bogged down a little bit in parts. But that could have just been my mood, to be fair. So that was Butch Pairing. It is still really quite a good book. There's some scenes that were really intense that I could imagine would trigger some people. So get away. So the second book I did for the Unicorn Challenge was category 2, which was time travel. And I mean, what else could I do? But This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El-Motar and Max Gladstone. I am butchering authors' names. I'm so sorry. Oh my God. I am so in love with this book. So when I first read it, I had no expectations going in. None whatsoever. I had no idea what to expect, except that I'd seen it everywhere and I'd seen both positive and negative reviews on it. So I thought, okay, I'll just go in. And I read the first chapter and went, this is awesome. But I need to read that again. So I read it again and went, okay, I think I've got a handle on this. I read the second chapter and went, oh dear God, I don't have a handle on this. I read it again and went, oh, light bulb moment. This is poetry. This is poetry in prose. And I fell in love. I adored it. I couldn't wait to see what red would do next and what blue would do next. And the poetry is just beautiful. And when it ended, I just wanted more. It was just so delicious, and the ending was delightful, and the pacing and the tension as it built up, and my God, the best enemies to lovers trope ever that I have read. 5-star book. Absolutely fell in love with everything about this book. Once I realized it was poetry and prose, then yeah, I got it. Okay, category 3, character over 40. I might have been a bit cheeky on this, but she is over 40. She's like 400 or something, right? Reaping the Benefits by E.J. Noyes. Oh, this book, I love this book. It is just phenomenal. Death's Minions, the humor, the emotion. It was just beautiful. E.J. Noyes just creates the most fabulous speculative fiction world. Sort of like urban fantasy, I guess. But definitely like this world if we knew death existed, if minions existed, that sort of thing. And it was just, oh, it was just fabulous. Like, just the whole concept, like, it's really thought out and beautiful, and oh my god, how I would love to see more stories of Cece, aka Death. That would be amazing. So that is Character Over 40. I love this book so much. All right, category 4, high fantasy. I did The Queen's Blade by Natasha Rose. It's a novella, and it's a nice quick read, but I did get a little confused at times, and I felt it was a little rushed at times, and it felt like this premise was beautiful, and I loved the way it ended, but I felt like it didn't quite pull me through some of the middle sections. What I really would love would be the next part of this story. Like, I feel like the story is sort of just beginning, and maybe that is the case. Maybe it's just a prequel novella or something, but yeah, I enjoyed the premise, I enjoyed the ending. I just needed to be pulled a little better through it, I think. Category 5 is polyamorous relationship, but I did Third by Q Kelly. I didn't particularly enjoy this book. I really just didn't enjoy it all that much. At times it felt like I was reading a textbook, like there were actual clumps of history just taken out of a textbook and dumped on the page in front of me. And I loved the premise. I loved the idea, but I don't think it was executed engaging enough for me. For someone who maybe doesn't know much about the history or the characters, it might be more interesting, but having known all of that, I found it a bit boring, and I also felt like the characters you weren't really engaged enough about them. You knew the details, but you didn't, I didn't get this sense of who they actually were beyond the events, beyond the details. So yeah. All right, so category 6, thriller, The Killing Ground by Sid Parker. Wow. There was so much potential for this book. The start of it was intense and trigger warning and raw and gritty, and I felt like it gave a very unrealistic idea of what the book to come was. I hated the ending. The main two characters, I kept having to go back and remind myself which character was which, because I kept getting them mixed up. Like, they weren't unique enough voices, which really bummed me out because I was so looking forward to this book, the potential of it. I just didn't enjoy it myself. Just my personal opinions, obviously. All right, category 8 is steampunk and gaslamp fantasy, A Pinch of Salt by Nita Round. The first time I read this, I was like, oh, okay. Then I read it a second time, and I kind of fell in love with it. I think it was because I haven't really read a lot of steampunk gaslamp fantasy before this. Steampunk, I guess, yeah. But since then, I kind of get more of the genre, and I really enjoyed this, and I am looking forward to reading, because it's part of a series, and now I've completely lost what the series is called, but this is a prequel novella, I think, and I got a little confused, but I'm not sure if that's because it was written after the rest of the series, so that it's sort of like people who have read it would already know some of that world building and stuff. But the world building that it did have was quite beautiful. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, so I am actually looking forward to reading more of it since I've read the book a second time. All right, category 9, Jewish character. All right, so this one I read in January, but oh my God, it has been such an impactful book on me. Hotel Queens by Lee Winter. Oh my God. Seriously, shut up and take my money. This book was actually the second, I think, book, maybe the third of Lee Winter that I read. And oh my God, I love it. I mean, there's everything delicious about this book. Like, there is just deliciousness. Ice Queen meets Fire Queen. Like, holy shit. It is brilliant. And it's one of the only books I've read where I didn't actually even click about the fact that it was, I guess, technically insta-love because you bought it. Like, they're thrown into this situation and it makes sense. I also love Lee Winter and her ability to just break into layers and layers of characters. They're real, they're human, they are real people, and you feel it. And it's just fabulous, and it's just brilliant. So, you know, go spend your money on Lee Winter books. They're brilliant. But this book, mwah, everything I love. All right, category 10 is horror. I read Danny by Angelique Jordana. Brilliant potential. I struggled a little putting things together. Like, it didn't, for me, it kind of like, wow, that kind of felt out of nowhere. And there was a bit of backstory and stuff, but it jarred me a little bit. I think it's still really good writing. And lots of potential. I'm really looking forward to seeing what she comes up with next. Category 12, I did apocalyptic fiction. So I did Darkness Falls by Casey Luck, and I'm really torn about this book. I liked elements of it, and then I really despised elements of it. The first 13 chapters, I was thinking perhaps I had actually picked up the wrong book, because I saw it listed in the apocalyptic read, and I was like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I saw that wrong. And I was like, okay, just keep going. Just bear with it. Just bear with it. Apparently it is dystopia. Apocalyptic. And yeah, the apocalypse sort of happens and all that jazz, but it's a romance book with an event thrown in. And I actually didn't mind that so much. I was kind of bummed because I was really looking forward to reading Apocalypse. It didn't feel like an apocalyptic story. Until, yeah, like chapter 13. Like, that's a long time for pre-build-up. But I guess that makes sense because she does have 4 main characters. But the characters, I did enjoy knowing them. And when the apocalypse hit, their reactions all made sense. What didn't make sense was the end with the characters. I thought some of the characters just got uncharacteristically aggressive and possessive, and I kind of kept waiting for the stereotypical ideas of the butchers saving the femmes and the butchers just, you know, like knowing all this and then the femmes doing this side, and it was like a little bit frustrating. One thing I really did enjoy was the character development between the 2 butch characters. The friendship that they built, to me, that felt the most realistic. The actual relationships between the others, I don't know, there was just something off about them. And then the kind of, you know, the end in a typical romance where, you know, something happens and they break contact or there's a breakdown in the relationship and then, you know, that big gesture, it was just too aggressive for me. Like it, and I'm not a big fan of that anyway, but it didn't seem true to me for those characters. They didn't show that aggression or potential of it. And to me, it just seemed really out of character, and it made me really squirm in an uncomfortable way. So my personal opinion, yeah, I think, I don't know, like I really disliked the end. I didn't think it was true to the characters, and that really tarnished a lot of the rest of the book. I actually enjoyed reading a lot of it, but I wish I had not gone in thinking this was a dystopia. Sorry, I keep saying dystopia, an apocalyptic fiction, because yeah, it didn't feel like an apocalyptic fiction. It felt like a romance with, you know, an event, possibly an apocalyptic event going on. And yeah. So, yeah. All right. So they're my 12 books. 10 books. Sorry. There's 12 categories in the unicorn list, but you only have to read 10 of them. So they're the 10 books I've read. And there's such a mix. Like there's some intensely favorite reads of mine, and there are some really dislikable reads. But it was good to read new authors. It was good to, I would say go outside of my genre of reading, but most of it wasn't outside of my genre. It was just finding books of the genre I love that actually had Sapphic main characters, which was very cool. I still find it hard to find ones that I like for some of these genres, which sucks, but we're getting there. So it's really cool. And yeah, so I will pop down all the info in the comments. I'll have a link to Jay's Sapphic book challenge for 2021. I know she's already looking at what book challenge she's going to do for 2022. She's amazing, this woman. And I think this is probably the first list where I don't have one of her books listed on it, which is a little bit amusing. But anyway, let me know what you think. You can absolutely argue with me. Please argue with me if you want, obviously with respect. But these are just my opinions of these books, my interpretation of the books, and yeah. So hopefully, yeah. Anyway, I'm just babbling now. All right. Thanks for watching, y'all.